Gloria's got a cough and a temperature. Tim's with her in a room.
Is she okay?
For now.
Yeah, all these stories and all these rumours and all these nightmares.
Just days after being nominated for 44 BAFTA awards, the broadcaster behind these shows, watched by millions, says its winning formula is under threat after the government put it up for sale.
OK, standing by, we'll go from the top again, thank you.
Steph's packed lunch, rehearsing today in the programme's Leeds studio, was one of those nominated.
Pete Rope is here to show us how we can turn our trash into treasure.
Late last night, the Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries announced she was putting Channel 4 up for sale because public ownership was stopping it compete against streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon. She pledged to try and reinvest the proceeds into levelling up the creative sector. At the 2017 election, the Conservatives agreed to keep Channel 4 in public hands in return for the broadcaster opening its headquarters here in Leeds. The channel has a special remit to stand up for diversity, to champion unheard voices and to innovate. Several senior Conservatives warned today that privatisation put that and the channel's investment outside South East England in jeopardy.
You look nervous. I'm really nervous. I feel like I've been called into the headmaster's office.
The former leader of the Scottish Conservatives, herself a Channel 4 star, was among senior Tories to round on the government. Do you think the government will have been surprised by the scale of opposition from Conservative backbenchers, Conservative peers like yourself? And how much of a fight do you think ministers now have to get this through the Commons and also in the Lords?
I'm baffled as to what the government is thinking. Firstly, that it thinks that this is a priority right now, never mind what else is going on in the world and what's going on in this country right now. But two, that they would think that even members of their own party would like the idea of selling off British cultural assets when they don't cost, when they're at no cost to the taxpayer and at the detriment to private businesses in this country.
Tory MPs openly bickered about Channel 4's fate on a WhatsApp group.
If we want Channel 4 to be a success in the future, it needs investment. It needs a different business model that will allow that investment to come in. And if we do nothing, the risk is Channel 4 is run into the ground over the next few years and left in a much weaker position. So looking for a private owner is about trying to avoid that, to give Channel 4 the investment it needs, but protecting the remit, protecting what makes it special.
Channel 4 was created by Margaret Thatcher, is owned by the taxpayer and funded by advertising, with any profits invested back into programming. Something the Culture Secretary was reminded of in a recent Select Committee hearing.
But Channel 4 is not like the BBC. It's not in receipt of licence fee money. It makes its money from commercial operations.
And so, although it's,
The writer of It's a Sin, Russell T Davies, has said a privatised channel wouldn't make his multi-award-winning hit series.
It's another little success story. Hopefully, when the kids...
Leeds-based True North is the biggest factual independent production company in the north of England. How confident are you that you can protect jobs here, and how many people do you employ?
Well, we have 150 people working for us across two bases, one in Leeds and one in Manchester, making a really quite broad range of programming. Channel 4 is absolutely critical to our success, not just in terms of the programmes it commissions from us, but in terms of its presence in the kind of the ecosystem of television production in the north of England. Whether it comes to training, whether it comes to giving voice to people who otherwise wouldn't get representation on screen, it's a really, really significant part of what we do.
ITV is seen as a potential buyer of Channel 4, though there may be competition concerns. Overseas bidders, including Warner Brothers Discovery, are also likely.
And then you're just going to finish painting this black.
Yeah.
And then you're going to...
With ministers selling Channel 4 and reviewing the BBC licence fee, the future of public service broadcasting in the UK looks increasingly uncertain. Well, earlier I spoke to the writer and producer Armando Iannucci, and I started by asking him what he made of claims that privatising Channel 4 would allow it to compete with the likes of Amazon and Netflix.
Why should it compete with Netflix and Amazon? I mean, we have those. What Channel 4 was set up to do, and which it does successfully, is provide something much more original and distinctive. It's all about bringing new talent, British talent, from all across the regions developing new writing talent, presenting talent, and independent journalism. Netflix does its thing and Amazon does its thing. And of course, Channel 4 as well as BBC can be ambitious about its dramas, but it can seek co-financing from the likes of the big streamers. I can't see how you can square this public service broadcasting remit with something that is overtly commercial, something like Netflix.
What if the government attaches conditions to, whoever buys it has to respect the remit, has to respect these public service things, governing news and current affairs and so on? That is possible, isn't it?
Well, how is it going to happen? How is a large organization like, say, Apple or Netflix or whatever, who've got a large checkbook but are commercially minded, how are they going to be able to square their obligation to their shareholders and their commercial obligation to the fact that they actually have to provide by law programs that are, almost by definition, less commercial? Drama is not always commercial, but it can be hard hitting. And similarly, comedy is, famously is a difficult thing to get right and requires a lot of time and investment and energy and finding new talent. And part of the problem is we don't know. I mean, the answer to your question is we don't know. We were promised a debate, a large debate about a year ago, and the industry has been supplying their side of the debate. The vast majority of us have been saying this doesn't work because there isn't a problem. There's not really been a discussion, there's not really been a debate. A government has made up its mind in advance of engaging with the industry.
What do you think that says about the government if that is the case?
Well, I think it's dangerous because it's basically saying that any network or channel or broadcaster that becomes troublesome, it has the power to either defund or privatise or limit.
I'm sure the government would deny that there's any link between Partygate and their decision to do this. But
I'm sure. I hope you ask them. I mean, the debate isn't over, and it's up to journalists who have any kind of sense of independence to be questioning Nadine Dorries and her team as to what the rationale was for this decision.
The next time Nadine Dorries comes on Channel 4, I'll make sure to ask her that very question. It is true, though, isn't it, that Channel 4 is a minnow and could benefit from investment by someone like Netflix or Amazon or, Discovery with deep pockets?
Well, absolutely. Netflix, for example, is financed by debt. It's driven by a mountain of debt. It's only just approaching profitability. So, it may not be around in 5 years' time, no matter how predominant it is now. It may not be around just now. I think part of the problem is that we are, we're talking about something that's all about engaging with an industry from the ground up, really. It's about finding new talent and it's about developing new ideas. It's about working with independent producers all across the country. Something like Netflix and so on is not really going to be bothered about whether a program is made in London or Leeds. It just wants the program, and it will be also mindful of the fact that that program should appeal internationally.